Mumbai, a city of nearly 19 million people, had been brought to its knees by just 10 armed men. But one of them in particular would be of special interest to investigators, the sole survivor. Azam Amir Kasab was arrested hours after the attack began. Photographs of the 21-year-old walking calmly through Mumbai's central railway station with assault rifle in hand have made him a symbol of the attack. Indian authorities believe Kasab is from Faridkot village in Pakistan's Punjab province, and that he, along with all of his accomplices, had been trained in Pakistan by Lashkar-e-Taiba, an Islamic militant group which was banned by the Pakistani government in 2002. In Mumbai, public anger directed at India's neighbor spilled into the streets.
These people here are calling Pakistan thieves and they're blaming them for the terror attacks. This is exactly the kind of thing that is due to affect relations between India and Pakistan.
Why are you blaming Pakistan?
Why not? I mean, it's proved. Everything is being done by Pakistan. War option should not also be ruled out. We have to teach them lesson.
As the tension between India and Pakistan escalated, the global ramification of the attacks became clear.
There is urgency to getting to the bottom of it. There is urgency to bringing the perpetrators to justice, and there is urgency to using the information to disrupt and prevent further attacks.
India's anger was now mirrored in the streets of Pakistan.
We demand the Pakistani government to deal with the US and India with courage. We are prepared to give our lives for Pakistan.
In the weeks that followed the attacks, the Pakistani government ordered a crackdown on militant groups, but it has so far refused to hand over suspects to the Indian authorities. Many fear that the standoff between the two neighbors has the potential to completely destabilize the region.
My worst fear is if Pakistan fails, like it appears to be in a precarious position. If we have a failed state next to us, we are in serious problem.
We cannot be talking about bombing Pakistan just now because there are two nuclear powers. And do people have any conception and idea what it means that two nuclear powers going to war? I think there is this whole myth about India as being the India of Nehru and Gandhi, being peace-loving and non-violent, etc. I think we are a very violent nation.
When a violent country gets angry, what will it do?
It could be very vicious. It could be internally vicious and externally mindless.
Within its borders, Indian Muslims fear a backlash in the aftermath of the attacks. Wasif Syed, a Muslim shop owner in Mumbai, was worried as the initial investigation unfolded.
I was just hoping and I was just praying that I hope these guys are not Muslims and they don't have Muslim names.
In Mumbai's Muslim neighborhood of Mahim, residents are not only worried about the shame, but also the blame the attack might bring on their community.
Whenever there is trouble, it's always Muslims who get the blame. Poor people get killed and Muslims get killed. But it's always young Muslim men who are accused. But Hindus are equally to blame.
The Mumbai attack brought to the fore a deep-seated division within India. It was a division which led to the partition of the British Indian Empire in 1947 and saw the birth of the predominantly Muslim Pakistan. And yet, the divisions between India's Hindu and Muslim communities have increased in recent years. In January 1993, violent communal riots broke out in India following the destruction of the Babri Mosque in Ayodhya by a Hindu mob. Nearly 1,000 Muslims were slaughtered. 2 months later, in reprisal attacks, a series of 13 bombs exploded across the city, hitting the Bombay Stock Exchange, Air India building, passport office, and numerous hotels and plazas. The Revenge Act crippled India's financial powerhouse for days, but it also exacerbated the religious divide in Mumbai and beyond.
There was a huge undertone of, okay, you versus us. because of the riots, right? But the bomb blast, and then everything became very hushed. You know, the whole feelings were more of inwards than outward projected.
In the aftermath of the attack, such feelings persist. And India now faces a new challenge as the 2009 general election approaches. The time ahead remains testing for many, who fear that communal sentiment will once again be exploited by party politics. Others, however, are more confident that history will provide answers for the future.
100 years before Islam came through the invaders in the north, we had Islam coming from the traders in the south. So we've had populations negotiating this coexistence, which is not something that 60 years of dirty politics can take away.
But India is a society not only split along religious lines, it's also deeply divided between rich and poor. Mumbai is home to Asia's largest slum, and yet, as the city has developed into a global powerhouse in the last decade, a new nouveau riche class has grown up alongside it. With money, influence, and often a Western education, many of the newly wealthy have grown detached from the day-to-day struggle of the city. But the Mumbai attack has cut across the class spectrum.
I always thought my Mumbai is, untouchable. I don't think there'll be some problem here.
The globalized India has led to, just people more worried about malls than malaria in any place. And so we've become extremely hedonist, extremely self-obsessed. We've just been chasing labels. And I think it's time for us to introspect and say that, life could end like that.
I'd really like to admit here that I think we're very selfish. We're really, really selfish. This time when it's hit Taj and Oberoi, it's hit home. And I know of so many people who haven't come back.
As Mumbai began its soul-searching, much emphasis was placed on the lack of political responsibility among the privileged lot.
So you have a classic cocktail of an indifferent, educated middle class. You have a corrupt bureaucracy, you have an even more corrupt political class. That is why India stands exposed.
But the attack on Mumbai has now mobilized a large number of middle-class citizens who have taken to the streets for the first time.
Tens of thousands of people are gathering here at India Gate. Mumbai has never seen anything like this before. They say it's a show of mass anger against the government and a system that failed them.
Well, I'm a housewife, but at the same time, now I'm going to devote a hell lot of time towards this campaign. And I want everybody, just everybody to spare little time, whatever little time they can. They have to do for the nation.
It's definitely a high time for change.
There is, in the Constitution 1969, 49.0, there is one right to every voter, vote to not to vote. If you feel the candidate is not worth enough, go to your polling booth, go stand over there, cast your vote, but to nobody.
This is a second independence movement. Please, government, wake up. Before we get a nuclear attack on India, please wake up.
Today it is Mumbai's voice, tomorrow it's going to be whole country's voice.
Some people, however, remain skeptical as to how long this passion will last.
India is a much larger country, and there are many Indias within this India. And I think unless you make this movement much larger, it won't sustain.
With so much of priorities related to corruption, the ethical decay which has happened, that will not change so fast.
But change needs to happen for India, and quickly too, if it is to break the recent pattern of deadly attacks on its people.
India needs to take itself seriously. India doesn't do that. This is a nation which has got enormous potential in terms of natural resources, the native intelligence of Indians and Indians' capacity for hard work, their capacity to take risks. We can easily become a superpower.
And there is little doubt that the power of the world's largest democracy lies ultimately in the will of its people.